He thought it was just another night at the office, until a little girl knocked on his door and whispered, "They hurt my mom. She's dying." What happened next changed the billionaire's life forever. In a city built on power and money, one CEO believed he'd lost everything that mattered, until fate sent him a small visitor with a truth that shattered his heart. This isn't just a story about loss. It's about redemption, forgiveness, and the moment when love returns in the most unexpected form, through a child's cry for help. It was a cold December night in downtown Boston. Inside his glass office on the 47th floor, CEO Nathan Cole stared at the city below, millions of lights, none of them feeling like home. He had money, power, and silence. Just as he was about to leave, a knock echoed on the glass doors. He frowned. It was nearly midnight. When he opened the door, he saw a little girl standing there, soaked in rain, clutching a small stuffed bear. Her lips trembled. "Sir, please," she whispered. "They hurt my mom. She's dying. Can you help us?" Nathan froze. "Where's your mom?" "She's outside. She told me to find the man in the big office. She said you'd remember her name." "What's her name?" The girl blinked through tears. Elena Brooks." Nathan's chest tightened. That name, that was the woman he'd once loved in college, the woman he'd left behind to chase ambition. He ran past the girl, down the marble hallway, into the storm. There, near the parking lot, lay a woman leaning against the wall, pale and weak, her hand clutching her side. Elena?" he gasped, kneeling beside her. She smiled faintly. "You still look the same, Nathan. Just colder." He pressed his hand against her wound. "What happened? Who did this?" Tears slipped down her cheek. "It doesn't matter. Promise me you'll take care of her." She looked at the little girl standing nearby. "Her name's Lily." Before he could respond, her hand fell limp. The rain drowned out everything, except Lily's small, broken voice whispering, "Please, sir, don't let her die." Nathan held her in his arms, his heart cracking open for the first time in years. That night, the billionaire who thought he had everything realized. He had nothing left but the child of the woman he once loved. Days turned into weeks, and Nathan slowly began to understand what Lily had brought into his life. Not just a child in need, but a mirror of the man he used to be. The mansion, once silent and cold, now echoed with the soft hum of cartoons, laughter and footsteps that didn't belong to business meetings. Yet, every time Lily mentioned her mother, Nathan's heart clenched. The guilt never faded, but her words, her innocence, began to chip away at the walls he had built for years. It wasn't redemption he sought anymore. It was peace. Late one evening, Nathan found himself in the study, the fireplace glowing dimly. Lily was asleep upstairs, clutching her worn-out teddy bear. On the desk lay Elena's photo, her smile frozen in time. He whispered, "I'm sorry," though he knew she couldn't hear. But maybe, just maybe, she could. He started to remember the way she'd challenge him, how she'd call him out for hiding behind his work. "The world's too loud," she'd laugh. "You don't have to be." Those words haunted him, until Lily said them again. And suddenly, it felt like Elena was speaking through her. One morning, Lily ran into his office holding a small drawing. "It's us," she said proudly. Stick figures, one tall, one small, both smiling. "Mom said you used to draw with her. Now you can draw with me." Nathan's eyes stung. It was such a simple thing, a child's drawing, but it carried more healing than any therapy, any success, any apology ever could. That was the moment he decided. He wouldn't just be her guardian, he'd be her family. He'd earn that title every single day. Weeks later, news broke about the foundation he launched, the Elena Grace Foundation. It wasn't for press or legacy. It was for her, for every mother who fought alone, every child who felt unseen. Nathan began showing up personally at shelters and schools, surprising volunteers. When they asked why, he'd simply say, "Because someone once reminded me what love looks like." The media called it rebranding, but Lily knew. It wasn't a brand. It was healing. One afternoon, as they sorted donations together, Lily pulled out a folded paper from her pocket. "Mom wanted me to give you this," she whispered. Nathan took it carefully, his hands trembling. The letter was smudged, but the words were clear enough to break him apart. "If he ever finds you, tell him I forgave him. Tell him love isn't gone. It just changed its shape." Tears streamed down Nathan's face. He read it over and over until his vision blurred. He realized then, Elena hadn't just left behind her daughter. She had left behind his salvation. That night, Nathan sat beside Lily's bed. She was half asleep, mumbling softly, "Mom's proud of you now, isn't she?" Nathan brushed her hair gently, whispering, "Yes, sweetheart." "She finally got me to feel again." His voice cracked, but his heart was lighter than it had been in years. For the first time since Elena's death, he wasn't haunted by what he'd lost, but comforted by what remained. Years passed, and the once ruthless CEO became a man people looked up to, not for his empire, but for his empathy. He would visit schools and hospitals, always with Lily at his side, holding her small hand as they walked through corridors full of hope. And though the world saw a headline, "Billionaire turned father rebuilds his heart," Nathan saw something simpler. He saw Elena in Lily's laughter, her kindness, her courage. Every night, before turning off the lights, Lily would whisper, "Good night, Dad." It was the first time she'd stopped calling him Sir, and each time, Nathan would close his eyes and whisper back, "Good night, my girl." He never remarried. He didn't need to, because love had already come home, not in the form of romance, but in the shape of a little girl's heart that reminded him what it means to live again. Sometimes love doesn't end with goodbye. Sometimes it sends you a child to finish the story you never got to write. And that's exactly what Lily did. She didn't just heal his past. She gave him a future worth feeling for. Sometimes love doesn't end when someone leaves. It comes back through the ones they leave behind. If this story touched your heart, don't scroll past. Like, share, and subscribe to keep stories of hope, kindness, and second chances alive, because you never know whose heart your share might heal tonight.